All right, peace. So I received a comment in my email today. A brother put me on to something that a statement that Adam Silver made about how he wants to make sure that there's a female head coach in the NBA sooner rather than later. And he was saying that it occurred to him what I had stated about Adam Silver being a homosexual, allegedly. All right, and that is my belief that he is a homosexual, allegedly. Now, if you look him up, it will tell you that he recently got married. I mean, for whatever that's worth. But at the end of the day, Adam Silver's main job is to be an agent for change. All right, and agent and change should be in capital letters when you think of what his job is. His job is to bring about as much social engineering as he can by doing what he can in the NBA. And the two major sports leagues, the NFL and the NBA, they're being paid behind the scenes to do these things. Like I said before, they're getting paid by the U.S. government and they're getting paid by the LGBT and a lot of these other groups and factions in order to help socially engineer society. So now in this show here, Sports Center, with Jemele Hill and Michael Smith, they've invited these three females onto their show. I think part of it's for so-called Women's Month. So let's see how they cover this story.
All right. Now we welcome in ESPNW's The Trifecta. Ladies, how are you? Sarah Spain, Jay McManus, Kate Fagan.
Now, for those of you who don't know, the chick on the left, Sarah Spain, is a big athletic groupie. She's a groupie to a lot of athletes from Chicago. If you Google her, you see her all over Michael Jordan. She was infatuated with Michael Jordan back in the day. She's a big Amazonian looking moron who's also a big super feminist. She recently supposedly got quote unquote married, even though she's about 45 years old. So what that tells you is that, she had a lot of tread on her tires and a lot of roast beef between her legs, and now she's ready to settle down. The middle one, Jane McManus, she's probably the most viable out of the three in regards to her journalistic integrity, even though she's also an idiot. And the one on the right is a lesbian. All right, so let's see what they have to say.
Again, you all will be holding down ESPN Radio tonight from 9 p.m. to midnight, special on women making history.
And this is also something that I want brothers and all men who's watching this video, it doesn't really matter, but particularly the so-called black man, because the so-called black man is the one who suffers under this system the worst. Notice the rapport between the black female, so-called black female Jemele Hill, and these three females. Watch how Michael Smith gets marginalized in the conversation. You must remember something. The so-called black female gravitates towards feminism before she does her so-called racial allegiance. All right, particularly the liberal black female. Concentrate on that. The liberal black female, she gravitates towards gender-based revolution or societal engineering or quote-unquote equality more than she does her race. And you're going to see that in this interview as this simp, this idiot over here, Michael Smith, he's completely marginalized and left on the sideline, and he's happy to be so because he's happy to just get his check.
I'm sure lots of fun topics there. But of course, we wanted to start by talking about something very serious, especially in the city of Chicago. And that
I know what's coming.
Jay Cutler's butt. And
I was going to excuse myself.
Now look at how these four females start the conversation. They start the conversation with a picture of a quarterback's backside that he posted on some social media outlet. Right now, imagine if four men had sat down and said, you know what? The first thing that we want to do is we want to throw up a photo of some famous female athlete's butt. It would have been you're viewing her as a sexual object, etc., etc.
Michael, don't you play like you didn't like that?
Y'all got that.
Exploited if your wife does it, right?
Yeah.
well, that's what I was asking. I mean, Sarah, you're somewhat recently married.
Right.
Would you ever put hubby on blast? That is, by the way, Kristen Cavallari who posted that about
Right.
Jay Cutler.
Right.
Ever put the hubby on blast?
I don't think my hubby would like that, but he does have an equally as delicious derriere. So I feel like.
Yeah, this is exactly the type of conversation that we look for on ESPN.
I feel like if my husband caught me in some sort of odd position, but I looked fantastic.
And what position might that be? With the lights off? That's about the only position I could think of.
I would be a lot less angry than if I didn't look good.
Okay, you guys have thoughts?
I mean, this obviously went through, like, I'm assuming this was like a pose that he did hundreds of shots of. This isn't just
there was
one.
some filtering.
I mean,
and
he's still a
editing.
human. He had to have, like, taken at least 30 of those to make sure that he got the good one.
Well, I'm just like, Jay Cutler is just out here living his best life.
Right.
Just,
he's showing people exactly where they can kiss, right? He's like, I may be unemployed, but
That sounds
I'm
like him.
having a decent time. I might be like think piecing this too much, but I was wondering if there was
I doubt if you could be think piecing anything. You'd have to have a brain to actually think.
any aspect of this where they're showing how much fun they're having and how normal they are, just to try to appeal to teams. Like, oh, he's a normal guy. Like, he's chill. He's not as bitter beer
this is
face.
normal? Like, this is not my normal vacation. I don't know about you guys. Like, maybe I'm overthinking it too. Is it the view that's not normal?
Right, which part
they
of
have
this is
kids,
not-
right? Like,
They're young.
They're hanging out, like,
by the way,
you know.
this is the longest Mike has ever been silent in his
I'm just
entire
staying in
life.
my place
Wait,
right
let me
now.
ask, are
Yeah, you're staying in your place. That's exactly what a man does. He stays in his place, right?
you jealous?
Of where he is, yeah. Of where he is,
Just that?
yeah.
So your butt looks better? Is that what you're...
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
I'm just waiting for my cue. Okay, because purely coincidental, ladies, we got to ask y'all about women making history. We're going to ask y'all the women's question.
Yeah.
Now remember, this is so-called Women's Month, so that's probably the reason why they're on the show. And then that's also probably the genesis behind Adam Silver's statements. I just wanted to lead in with this segment, even though it's foolery. I just wanted to show you how hypocritical these females are. They'll highlight their initial segment. They'll highlight it by showing a man's backside.
I mean, let's just
Well,
stick outside
didn't
the
a
box
woman
for
make
once.
history? Come on. There is no transition.
Yeah,
So let's
stick
just
outside
we'll go
the
right
box
next to
here
it,
and
all
ask
right?
you guys a question. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, of course, he spoke on the possibility of a woman one day being a head coach in the NBA, saying, quote, there definitely will, and I think it is on me to sort of ensure that it happens sooner rather than later.
In other words, he's going to try to put pressure on certain owners to hire a female coach. So you have to ask yourself, which teams would hire a female coach, right? You'd have to have a team. You'd have to have teams that are downtrodden, with ownership that really doesn't care, with a fan base that really is exasperated to the point where they don't mind being turned into a carnival show, right? Either that, or you have the Spurs. Possibly Popovich has promised the head coaching position to Becky Hammon behind the scenes. Popovich likes to market himself as a super liberal. And like I said, behind the feminist movement and behind the so-called civil rights movement is always a white liberal.
Becky Hammon specifically comes to mind. Spurs assistant, just turned out a Florida job with eyes toward being the first woman to be a head coach in the NBA.
Right. Why would Becky Hammon turn down a job somewhere else with eyes to be a head coach unless she's already been promised it?
Kate, your thoughts on this? Sooner rather than later. Just how soon is soon? I said it when Becky got hired.
Yeah.
Given that she was Pop's protege. But how soon is sooner rather than later?
I mean, at first I was thinking, I kind of hope it's later because I want to make sure they have the absolute right person. But then I'm like, look, like the key to success is starting before you actually know what you're doing and you have everything.
Yeah, that's exactly that's a good feminist. That's basically feminist mindset in a nutshell. Just do it before you even know what you're doing. You know why? Because they know that they're going to have a buffer when they mess up. They're going to have somebody to catch them when they fall. Right? Men understand that you better have things planned out, because if you land on your face, nobody's going to feel sorry for you. That shows you that this female here has entitlement issues. She expects people to pick up her mess after her. Just do it and don't worry about how things are. Don't worry about knowing what you're doing. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's how you run a franchise.
Everything in place, you just got to go with it. And so,
yeah, just go with it. You see that? Now remember, if you watch the video that I did on the movie Something New, there was a soliloquy that Sanaa Lathan's character's father made at the end in the bathroom when he said, you got to follow your heart. See, that's the liberal mindset. Just do it. Don't worry about the ramifications. Don't worry about if you actually have a plan. Just do what you feel. That's why most of these people behind closed doors, they're addicted to medications. A lot of them are alcoholics, because a lot of their liberal philosophies and ideologies, they don't really pan out, but they have to keep the facade going. I guarantee you, this female here, this lesbian, I guarantee you she's very depressed.
maybe the NBA fans aren't ready, but it seems like Adam Silver's ready. I think.
Of course he's ready. He has the mandate. He probably got the check from the LGBT because Becky Hammon is a lesbian as well, allegedly. He got the mandate from the LGBT, and he's ready for it to go. Right? He probably spoke to Popovich. Popovich said, "Look, I'm only going to coach about 3 more years. I want to go run my vineyard and do whatever diabolical things I do behind closed doors. Let Becky take over. She's ready."
I think Becky Hammon, you can't find a better former player than this. So
you can't find a better former player than this. Let me see how many male former players right now are looking for head coaching jobs in the NBA. You have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who can't even get a job as an assistant coach. Right now, he's running all across television trying to make himself marketable and not look so much like a recluse so that he can get a job as an assistant coach. That man can't even get on the end of the bench. You have Patrick Ewing, who's been an assistant head coach forever, but they should throw Becky Hammon a bone, right? Okay, I got you.
So, I mean, you're just going to have to drag people along, even if there are already some.
Jane,
just drag them along, meaning who cares if people object?
I thought the most interesting thing was he said it's kind of on me to ensure that happens. How important is it?
Basketball is a sport that women and men both play, right? So it's one of those sports where it's natural for a woman to be a coach. You don't have to, the gender issue, men coach women, women coach men, that's entirely
Women coach men where?
possible. Becky Hammon, clearly, the leading candidate out there, but...
The only candidate. For there to be a leading candidate, there has to be other women. The only candidate.
Has she paid her dues yet? I mean,
If you have to ask, you already know the answer.
One thing that hampers women getting opportunities is not paying your dues before you get that shot. Because then people don't...
Oh, you mean you're actually admitting that they're giving women positions that they don't deserve to get? Oh, wow. They might suspend her.
People don't take you seriously and they don't give you the respect you deserve.
Well, if you haven't paid your dues yet, then it wouldn't be a factor of you not getting the respect you deserve. It would be a factor of you not getting the respect because you don't deserve it.
But when Pop puts you on his staff and relies on you, that carries a lot more.
Well, and I think what's interesting is that the way we usually view this is it's some sort of affront to women if this doesn't happen. I think it's as much an insult to how we view men if we really want to keep going with this BS argument that men cannot listen to strong women.
No, it's not a matter of men not listening to strong women. It's a matter of men not wanting to listen to nonsense. Men are programmed to gravitate towards logic, reason, and rationale. Females are programmed to gravitate towards their emotions, right? There's 2 totally different thought processes in play, right? The male brain functions differently from the female brain. That's why they have different hormones. That's why they have different chemical functions. It's not really that complex. It's not about not wanting to listen to a so-called strong woman. The reason why most of you females are single, meaning most liberal females, is because they're going under the pretense that people actually care what they think. Most people do not care what you think.
Right? Like
I do it every day for an hour.
Yeah,
because you're getting paid to. That's why they linked you guys together. It's almost like the movie Lethal Weapon when they put Mel Gibson with Danny Glover because nobody else wanted to work with him. That's Jemele Hill. Nobody else wanted to work with her.
And then I also call you just to make sure you're listening. No, but I mean, and look, I get that there is some element of that. Is will they respect her? Will they think that she knows her stuff? Will they listen in the clutch moments? All that stuff. But if we really,
they will at first, because she will get a job, probably most likely a Spurs job in a couple of years when Pop steps down, because I don't see another team giving her that job. They will at first, and then afterwards they're going to start to struggle. And then that experiment will end, like it has in every other venue where they've tried to force a female coach down people's throat. You have to understand the reason why they're doing that is because a coach represents a sage. A coach represents a professor, a teacher. They want to put the image of the woman in that authoritative position to continue to promote that philosophy of a female being a judge, a female being a godlike figure. All right. That's why you have a lot of these black males talking about that black woman is God nonsense. Why is that? Because they grew up in households where the woman had the final say and the only say. So it's easy for them to accept. And they get that from the so-called white liberals. All right. They try to act like it comes from some ancient source from the so-called ancestors, as they call it. But it's really just a philosophy that was pushed on the whole world by the so-called white liberals. But let's continue on.
Really believe that an entire league full of men has never listened to a powerful woman in their lives, whether it be a family member, a wife, a friend, another boss.
Yep.
I think we're just perpetuating that if we don't decide at some point to give men a little bit more credit.
Yeah.
What a weak attempt at a mind game. In other words, you know what? You men, you've grown up, you've had a female authority figure before, like your mother or like an aunt or your grandmother. So why not listen to a coach? You know why? Because your mother is your mother and your coach is a coach. Those are two totally separate factions. Those are two totally separate vocations. All right? You don't listen to an average female because that's not your mother. And this goes into a mind game that a lot of particularly black females play today whenever they're put under scrutiny. They'll say, well, isn't your mother black? Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to synchronize themselves as a mother figure to you so that you have to listen to them by default. All right. That's a trick that liberal females play to try to assume a mother type figure because they know that they cannot trump you with their reasoning, with rationale. So they have to try to trump you with emotion. Every man knows that your mother has a special place in your spirit, in your mind. Why is that? Because of that connection from when you were in her womb, from being raised by her. So the woman wants to assume that role. The average woman wants to assume that role as your mother so that she can have that same level of control and that same emotional connection with you where she can try to dominate you just off of general principles as opposed to having earned it. These women don't want to earn what they're looking for. They want to be gifted it.
Yeah, I more or less look at the pipeline. What kind of pipeline is being created? As
Three
a result.
at the moment.
There's no pipeline being created. It's all for show. It's nonsense. What do you think? There's going to be 15 female head coaches in the NBA? That shows you all this feminist nonsense. What it really is, it's just females hating being women. They look in the mirror and they say, wow, men have everything. I want to do what men do. That's all it's about. They try to act like, and they try to put forth this cover and this facade that they love being women so much and women are so powerful. If you were so confident and loving of yourself and your femininity, you would not always be trying to usurp male roles. You're worried about coaching men. You're not worried about coaching women. Why is that? Because coaching a woman is not good enough for you. It goes back to what I stated in that video about Candace Wiggins and the WNBA. They know the WNBA gets no recognition. It gets no attention. So in order to make a splash, okay, we have to force our way into the viewers' minds by trying to take over the NBA. All right. The NBA is they better be very, very careful. They're on an iceberg of liberalism, and they're going to tip over.
Right. You have Nancy Lieberman, obviously, with the Kings, and that to me is always the telltale sign. Like, you know, Greg Popovich is considered one of the most progressive coaches in all of sports.
Allegedly, in regards to his beliefs societally. Allegedly, he's liberal, but who knows how he thinks behind closed doors. But anyway.
The Spurs are a fantastic organization. We know that they're very broad thinking in how they do things. Is it more progress if you see, to me, it's more progress if you see another organization begin to do this on a regular basis? Because in the NFL, for a hot second, you had a woman that was an assistant, and then now we're looking around like, okay, well, what happened with that?
Well, what did you think was going to happen? You was going to have women everywhere teaching men how to tackle? I mean, some of the thought process behind some of these females on television, these liberal females, you have to wonder how, I guarantee you, if you did a search on all their purses, there's at least 3 or 4 pill bottles in each one of their purses. I guarantee you that. But let's continue on in part 2. Peace.